Hey guys, welcome to this short Wrath of Lich King pre-patch guide. Um, I'm Mobywan. I played a Red Paladin for a long time. I played it throughout TVC. Didn't get my chance to get Gladiator titles, mainly because I think Red Rogue wasn't as good as I hoped that it would be. Nevertheless, let's dive into Wrath of the Lich King, and hopefully it's going to be a better experience than TBC was for me. Now, a couple of things have changed from TBC, as you may know. First of all, your Divine Protection. Um, they have changed this useless spell into a damage reduction talent, um, and this thing reduces your damage taken by 50%, but at the condition that you will have Forbearance on you. Now, this means that you can't use either Avenging Wrath within 30 seconds of it or Divine Shield, as well as Lay on Hands. Um, it is actually a pretty big spell for the main reason that your damage isn't reduced, whereas in TBC your Divine Shield uh, reduced your attack speed in TBC, and now it reduces your damage done by 50%. So Divine Shield is no longer a kill spell, but rather a very defensive spell. Divine Protection is the one that you'll want to use when you have a healer on you and you're trying to dish out some damage. Seals have changed as well. You may notice that Seal of the Martyr is gone right now. It was up for the first 3 seasons of Wrath of Lich King, but we're playing the last patch, which means that they removed Seal of the Martyr. So now we'll mainly be using Seal of Righteousness for damage, as well as Seal of Vengeance. Mainly because Seal of Command is now more of an AoE spell, and you don't really want to use that. Maybe when you play a BG, but it's going to take up at least 1 point of either your Vindication, which I don't recommend, and I'll go into that a little bit later, or your Crusade, and 1% of damage. It may not be too big of a choice, but that is totally up to you. Seal of Vengeance is the thing you'll most likely want to use when you've got a healer on you and you're doing, well, you have a high uptime on a target, and Seal of Righteousness is your go-to for single target damage. Any other changes? Well, when you play human, use Will to Survive, and now you've got 3 judgments. You've got your Judgment of Light, you've got your Judgment of Wisdom, and you've got your Judgment of Justice. So remind that your Seal of Justice will still give your bonk stun, the small 2-second stun, but you don't have to keep it up for slowing people anymore. You can just judge your Judgment of Justice for that. Now, Judgment of Light, it will mostly be used as your go-to judgment in arenas, simply because it gives you a chance to heal yourself or any attacker for 2%. Should you ever find yourself low, judge your wisdom, and when you want to catch up with people, use Judgment of Justice, or whether you want to escape, let's say against ferals or rogues, maybe fire mages, etc. Another change is that your Holy Wrath spell now instantly casts, and it also stuns demons and undeads. So you can use this against Death Knights, for example, when they use their I don't even know what the spell's called, but it changes them into an undeath rather than a humanoid, and that's when you can stun them. Works against warlocks as well, with either their fell form, which changes them into a demon, or on their pets. So keep that in mind. Hammer of Wrath is now an instant cast, and I think I have covered most of this right now. You get Hand of Reckoning as well, which I definitely suggest binding, because it puts you and the enemy target into combat. So let's say you manage to taunt a warrior before he charges you, then he can no longer charge you. Rogues can no longer sap you when you taunt an arena enemy, etc. Right, talents. In protection, I went for 5 points Divine Strength, Guardian's Favor, and Stoicism. Nothing really to say about this. You're used to these from TBC. Now for Retribution, you pick Benediction, or at least I've picked Benediction over Parry. Went with Heart of the Crusader for crit, improved Judgments, and Vindication for debuff protection. Went for 5 Conviction and 2 in Pursuit of Justice. This talent has changed in a way that it does give you more movement speed than people who've enchanted their boots. And it also gives you disarm reduction, so that's pretty nifty. Went with Sanctity of Battle. Extra crit, extra damage. Makes sense. Sanctified Retribution is changed. Sanctity Aura is gone, which means that you just use any aura and you'll get the extra damage from that. Now, I put 2 points in Crusade for 2% extra damage overall, and an extra 2% against, like it says, Demons Undead, and then an additional 2%. Anyway, right. You can also go for Eye for an Eye, and the thing that has changed here is that Eye for an Eye is now a spell or a talent that protects you against any crit. So no longer against spells only, and people will crit very much right now, considering they have level 70 gear. So Eye for an Eye may be worth picking over Crusade as well. Two-handed spec, Vengeance is now a 3-parter. You have Divine Purpose. Now, the thing about this spell is that it gives your Hand of Freedom a chance to remove any stun effect. What this does is that it does cost you a global cooldown, so take that in mind. When someone is low HP, you may want to use your Trinket rather than, let's say you're a human, you use Will to Survive, but otherwise you use your PvP Trinket. And otherwise you just use this to get out of harm's way. The Art of War, this is a very interesting talent, and I'm going to post a very nice Weakauras below this video, so you have an indication of when this talent is up. It'll be the same graphics as the Cataclysm one, which just gives you a nice indication that you have something going on. Now, what this talent does is that it increases damage, like it says, but every time you crit, you get a chance to either self-heal or heal someone else, as well as have your Exorcism spell become instant. You don't necessarily want to hard cast Exorcism, maybe if you want to get in combat or such, but you may as well just want to taunt to do that. But this just makes Exorcism a very nifty tool to either get some kills or just do a lot of damage. Then we have Repentance. I went for Fanaticism mainly because Judgements are incredibly good right now, and I'd like it to have some extra crit. And then we have Sanctified Wrath. I'll go into Judgements otherwise in a bit. Now, this increases your critical strike chance of Hammer of Wrath by 50%. And reduce cooldown, but the most important part is that this makes your Avenging Wrath bypass a lot of damage reduction effects, such as Bark Skin, such as Pain Suppression, etc. So you can use Avenging Wrath as a finisher, but do mind when you use Avenging Wrath, you'll put a 30-second cooldown on your defensive spells. So do pick a perfect timing for yourself when to use your Avenging Wrath. Now, Judgments of the Wise. This is what is going to give you your mana regen. You shouldn't really go out of mana anymore, or at least not that much. And otherwise, you could just judge on either an off-target, let's say a pet or whatever, should you want to get some mana back. Crusader Strike, nothing too special about that. And then Sheath of Light. Now, this gives you some extra spell power based on your attack power, which is awesome. But it also gives you crit heals, and you'll crit for a lot because crit is now the same in terms of melee and spell. And I can show you that in a bit. So I have 36 spell melee crit, and my spell crit is about the same. Now, so let's say you heal for 6k with your Holy Light, you'll get an 800 healing tick, or 700 to 800 healing tick for 12 seconds. So that's pretty cool. Righteous Vengeance will put a dot on an enemy whenever it crits, but do note that whenever you crit someone, it'll put the debuff on someone, and that will break CC. Haven't tested it with Repentance just yet, so you may want to try that out for yourself. And then the big, awesome Divine Storm. AoE attack, heals people, should you be low HP, use Divine Storm, get a crit, get out of war, self-heal with Flash of Light on the next global cooldown, and you're pretty much up and running for 20 to 30% more HP. In terms of glyphs, I couldn't find any minor glyphs yet, but I'm going for the Blessing of Kings one for mana reduction on that one, and Sense Undead, which will give 1% more damage to undeads when you have Sense Undead on. And for major ones, I went for Exorcism and Judgment purely for extra damage. And that's it. So feel free to change around Crusade. Either put 1 in Seal of Command, put 2 in Eye for an Eye. You may want to skip on Improved Blessing of Might for PvP because you have Blessing of Kings at baseline right now. And I think that covers pretty much all of my choices and the changes to your Red Paladin tree. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. This is the first one I made, so this is pretty new for me as well. Good luck, everyone, and please kill some TKs. Awesome. Oh, I tried to stream more often than I did, so that is Twitch TV /Mobywan with a Z in the end. Someone took Mobywan, so I couldn't get my hands on that one. Should you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as much as possible. And please join the Paladin Discords, and I'll put some links below in the video as well. And you can contact a lot of experienced Paladins there should you have any questions. See you guys.